Good morning and welcome to what is it that I do? My brain is going in fog. Reflections of Riverman. You know, it's interesting how as I've been doing this for over 2 years, and every morning that I get up on Fridays, especially when I wake up late, it's always an amazing journey within my mind to gather information because I don't prepare this except in the morning before this on how easy it is for the brain to simultaneously work on multiple things. And then when I get on screen, everything goes blank. And I have to draw it all in again. And many of you might be experiencing that as well. And I would consider that some sort of, oh, I can't deal with this. It's suffering. And today's topic is about suffering and peace. And as I say this, I realize that the suffering, most of the suffering that I feel that I experience, I'm the one who causes it. I'm the background energy of that. Granted, there are things that outside of us we suffer from, as when my finger here with the black and blue, when I got that caught in snowblower, that's suffering. It was my fault because I did it. But it's an actual thing happening. But most of our suffering comes from here, right here, this brain. And that was the message that I awoke with this morning is so many people are suffering right now. And they're suffering not because of physical pain or COVID pains or whatever. I mean, there's millions of those. But most of us are suffering from pain right here. It's a suffering that we go to psychologists, we go to psychiatrists, we try to take medicines, and the doctors always prescribe a medicine for us, and so it's hard to eradicate, and we become sometimes the medicines make us zombies. We can't think as quickly, we can't think as appropriately. So that's today's talk: collective suffering or peace. Victoria, bless you. I'm glad you got it. I didn't get time to put it on my Facebook page, so I'm glad you're with us. Mallory, good morning and bless you, and glad you're with us. Who is this us? This is Charlie and his guides, a riverman and his guides, however you want to look at it. So we'll begin with some of the structure of what it is that I'm talking about, and um, really what's coming to mind for all of us as we move forward in our evolution. It's the ability to witness the destruction of many of the principles of our collective communion, our collective coming together. The principles are sort of getting destroyed. They're being bombarded, if you will. And I think about what's going on in Russia and the Ukraine, and in other parts of the world where the destruction is just so intense. It's physical destruction, and so we can witness that. But the destruction I'm talking about is psychological destruction. It's destruction within our brain. It's a destruction of how we think as teams, how we think as individuals. And for that, there's no excuse. There's no excuse for that to continue, as well as the insanity that's going on in the world as far as physical destruction. That's what I awoke with this morning. And as I said, it's been after about 3 or 4 days of many different people connecting with me and talking about rage, talking about suffering, talking about they can't think anymore. They don't know where to turn. They've got anxiety. They can't afford to pay their oil bills. They can't. They just don't know how they're going to survive. And these are people like you and me, middle class and upper middle class people who are looking at a destruction of their way of life. The very rich have no problems because they have enough financial capability to survive all of that. But the rest of us, and the poor people, I mean, they're homeless. They have no place to live. And we have people and politicians who say we're not going to provide it for them either. Where is the compassion for humanity in that? How do we live in a world like that? So those are the negatives, and I'm going to go through the negatives. And so bear with me as I will wrap it around and give you some positive things to think about. So what came to mind was that each of us are witnessing all of this. We're witnessing many, many, many things that create an inner stress. I don't know if it clipped off here or not. Anyway, I guess not. Okay. So all of these, this inner stress is hard to really define. It's hard to really find as it morphs. It morphs into so many disturbing emotional aspects. So when it hits us, it's an energy. It's not so much a thing that we can say, oh, I need to cut this out or I need to do that. It's an overwhelming energy, an emotional emotion, energy in motion. I always say that energy, emotionals, it's energy in motion. It's in motion in our bodies. It's in motion in our brains, and it's creating either a balanced frequency or an imbalanced frequency. Just like out in the outer world, it's either a smooth running or it's static. Okay, and so we're running with a lot of static going on up here in the brain. And we know when we listen to a radio, or those of us who are old enough to remember the transistor radios, and it was all static. It was horrible. It was horrible. We used to seek to find a place where we get a better signal, in our transistor radios. Yes, I am that old. And it's funny because this is what we're doing now. But we're doing it with our physical bodies. We're trying to find places where we're not bombarded with this static in the brain. So we go to nature. We go to nature. I always suggest to go to nature. Go to a water where you can hear the water, or someplace where you can hear the wind. So your five senses are filled with a natural frequency of action. And in that natural frequency, you're receiving the energy, which is not static. It's smooth and it's loving and it's kind because it's natural. And that's what we all need to do more, is to get out there and do that, and get out in nature and commune with nature as well as each other, and commune with each other on beneficial things, of positive things. I don't know how many times I catch myself starting off on a tangent of what's negative, and I really, it's like a slap without moving my hand. Stop it. And I have to do that because we're all wrapped in this. We're all involved in this. We're all evolving in this. It's not just I'm the only one who gets the news. We all get the news. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Renee. Good morning, Kathy. Your heart and soul hurting collectively, yes. And that's what I'm talking about, is that collective, excuse me, that collective hurt, that collective pain that each one of us are feeling. And so, we've just come through this pandemic for 2 years, okay? And that's been horrible. Yet this pandemic of fear is really not just about the illness. It's a pandemic of fear. When we went into fear. I'm fear I'm going to get sick. I'm fear I'm going to die. So it's all about a pandemic of fear. And right now, the pandemic of fear is taking lives and destroying the structure of civilization in a very violent and seemingly, I'm going to use the word seemingly, planned way. When we look at the situation in Russia and the Ukraine, there is no need for this. There is absolutely no need in human civilization or on planet Earth's journey for this destruction. And I say that adamantly because we should have reached a point in our evolution by now where we've learned that this does not accomplish anything beneficial for anyone. It creates trauma. And each one of us now are trying to release trauma from our own lives and trying to release the trauma of our ancestors who went through war after war after war. There are people who are, many of you may be mourning lost members of your family from World War II. Never mind all of the other wars. This is an abomination for humanity to even be compromising itself to say, oh, well, it's happening. There's nothing I can do. That moment, we say, there's nothing I can do. We have surrendered to something outside of us. I always talk about how we are created as powerful individual beings. We have a heart that runs the whole system. We have a mind that's supposed to give us and feed us information and feed it to the heart so that we can live through this heart. And when the heart is gone, we're gone. Brain can go, you'll still be alive. You'll still be here. You won't have any consciousness of it, but you'll be here. You'll still be alive. It's the heart is the key to all of our futures. And it's we need to come back into those hearts. Another side of what was going on is we're all expressing many more moments of deep inner questioning. Who am I? What am I doing here? Why is this happening? The who, what, when, where, why, and how. We go through that, and the brain is geared on that wheel, and it goes round and round and around. And in that spinning of the wheel of the mind to try to figure those answers out, we create a field of energy in ourselves that creates a disturbance throughout our whole energetic body. Because now the mind is focusing on that, and it's focusing on the news, and it's focusing on the hungry children and the homeless people and the animals and we're focusing on that, and that is all fragmented, I'll call it fragmented energy. When we think of a nuclear bomb, there's the physical nuclear bomb, and then there's that inner energetic nuclear bomb that takes our mind and just shatters it, gone. And we got pieces flying everywhere. And we can't focus. Or we can focus for a little while, and then we have to walk away. And I'm sure many of you are experiencing this, and you didn't have COVID. I had COVID 2 years ago, and I'm still dealing with brain fog and all kinds of things that I should not be dealing with, period. So the inner questioning and the depression that comes from that, because that's where the depression is ignited, is greater than ever before in humanity. Not to say that in smaller groups it was that high, but as a collective whole, all of humanity is going through this. I don't care where you are. And if you're starving off in some country in a tent because you've been misplaced by war or greed or whatever, you're living that every day anyway. So this doesn't even need to touch you. You're sitting in the middle of that. The other problem with the world today is that there's, I'm envisioning a vacuum cleaner. 5G computers, the problem really is that I see is that our children are being drawn in, like sucked with a vacuum, into a 5D online world. I have nothing against 5D. I have nothing, those issues are those issues. But they're being sucked into a world that is as dangerous for our future as the collapsing of our third 3D one. And there's a purpose in that, because again, if you can get everybody to align with a single stream of thoughts, and you can control that single stream of thought, you've achieved power over the individual heart and mind. And so that's part of all of this that we're seeing. And this should scream at us to say, I don't know what I can do, but I got to wake up. I got to wake up and say, I'm not part of this. I don't know how I'm not going to be part of this because it's affecting my daily life. But I know that the first thing I have to claim is myself, my true self. I have to find my true self, or I'm just going to be part of the collective suffering rather than a part of achieving collective peace. So now I want to get out of the negative and focus on the positive. The positive is, let's focus on collective peace. That's where we take a responsible attitude. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter how much, it doesn't matter in what way. The word is responsible. We are responding to the situation in a way that is beneficial rather than adding to the detrimental. I don't mean to preach. I really don't. But that's how it comes out. We need to become more involved first in resolving our own emotional roller coaster ride. And that's what it is. It's a roller coaster ride. At least for me it is. 1 minute I'm up, 1 minute I'm down. one day I'm feeling fine, the next day I'm feeling depressed, I'm anxious, I can't think. What I have to sit and say, what's causing that? And I try to find the source of it. And I can't. I can't find the exact source. I want to, why is it today that I'm feeling this way? And then I go into this vision of, oh, well, it's this, it's 5G, it's the war, it's the, what. And I want to put the blame on something outside of me. And we all do this because we can't imagine that we could feel this crazy or this unbalanced. And then the next day, everything's like a picnic in the park. It's a roller coaster ride. Let's stop the roller coaster ride. We know without question that when other people influence our minds through information that is horrible, that is fearful, that is disturbing to our inner self-beingness, is presented almost in a way of attacking us, not just talking to us, where it's like being bombarded with these news blurbs, and everything is intense in there. This is what movies have done for thousands of, not thousands of years, but for hundreds of years. Even when they did plays, those were the modern movies back then. The drama is an energy. It's an energy that we take and we portray. And we portray it with the intention of stimulating that in somebody else. This isn't brain surgery. This is entertainment. This is all, if you look, this is all we've been doing since we had TVs. We've been bombarding ourselves with information in many different ways to make us laugh, to make us cry, to make us feel this, to make us feel that. Psychology in a box. However, right now, it's killing us slowly and intentionally. And there are people who know exactly what's going on. And most of us are in the mass that has to live through it. We know that our minds are being influenced by it in many directions. And now we have the he said, she said, third grade. This is my analogy. We're gone back to the third grade of humanity, where everybody's going to tell a different story and they're going to swear it's the truth. And the bullies are going to come out and they're going to beat their story into you until you either surrender or they break you. The analogies for me are just perfectly clear. It's us who are suffering from this, that need to come back inside and realign who we are in our own minds with our hearts to come together in small groups, not large groups, small groups. In the 60s, we learned that the larger the group, the easier it was to infiltrate. And it was easy to break it up or change the environment of it so that it no longer worked. But if each of us come within our heart first as individuals, it's the group of our mind and our heart that we need to start with and get them back in balance. So we need to reestablish who we truly are as compassionate beings. Beings that all seek to be loved. All of us seek to be loved or express love. This is the nature of who we are. We are love. You hear me always saying, we are love, we are light, we are peace. That's not an idle statement. That's a statement that comes from my dying and experiencing that. And I can't say it enough to people, that the pure essence of who we are as human beings is peace, light, and love. And everything else that we're doing here is a distortion based on the frequency of the third dimension and planet Earth. And those people who have chosen that they want to be in charge of something. They want to be the leader. They want to be the king, the god, if you will, of something. That's the human brain in hyperspeed, rambling off into stories and visions and feeding itself. It's the most self-destructive part of us. Compassion comes from the heart. Love comes from the heart. It's the mind that directs it. That's all it is. The mind is really for us to take who we truly are and express it to the world around us. Because we're all part of each other. So perhaps we need to reinvent ourselves. Are you ready to reinvent yourself? First, we got to learn about the habits that we have that are not only harmful to us, but are harmful to others. Just become aware of them. Don't have to immediately jump in and say, I got to fix this, I got to change that. No. That's the brain wanting to do that. The heart is the one that feels the pain and the suffering from that. Let's come back into our hearts and say, how would my heart handle this? How can I handle this with my heart? And it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to test you to no end. But eventually you start and you get a flowing trickle. It starts with a trickle. It's like a river. It starts with a trickle at the top of the mountains. And the ice melts around the heart. The ice that we've put there so that we don't get hit there. And it starts to melt and trickle away. And all of a sudden, the beauty starts to appear. And we start to recognize the beauty of who we are and how when we communicate with each other in peace and love, there's always a bright light. There's always a sense of hope, a sense of seeing something in a brighter way, like starlight or the full moon which we're experiencing. We need to come out of the dark moon and into the full moon. Know and dive into what brings you joy. Joy to your heart, not so much your brain. Does your heart feel it? The joy can get laughter out of everything, can get joy out of anything, because it has no, it's not who you are. Your heart is who you are. How can you be happy in your mind and be depressed? The depression is from your heart. not from your mind. This is why so many treatments, they all go to the mind. And, oh, you could take this, take that pill. All that does is deaden the sense of the mind and its ability to deal with all of those fragments of information. When we work on the heart, the mind clears. When we come to joy and calm in our heart, the mind will follow. When we were born, it was the heart that came online first and sent neural energy and wisdom to the brain to start and the rest of the system. We weren't born brain first. We didn't come to life brain first. It was heart first. Know from within your heart. Dive into your heart and know what gives you a sense of joy and calms the mind. Because when we're overstimulated by the crisis around us, we become confused, we become angry, we become depressed, we have anxiety. All of those things that lead us to some kind of drug, some magic bullet that was invented to solve the problem that came from making the bullet. Can you see that cycle? Can you see that cycle? Now, yes, there are people who have very definite emotional and mental problems because their brain is not working properly. And I'm not talking about them. For them, the care and the need is definitely there, and the system works as best as it can for them to alleviate that. But most of us are being driven there by the confusion. The birds know where to go. They don't have any confusion. The flowers know how to grow. They don't have any confusion because they're not listening. They're not tuned in to that frequency. Although right now with certain technologies, they are harming them. It is harming them, and they have no power or no awareness. Much like many of us. We're not that different. Our natural state of being. Come back to your natural state of being. You have always had the abilities to choose to be loving and kind. Because this is who you are. This is who you are when you came into your mother's womb. This is who you are when you were birthed. This is who you are for many months until people started telling you, no, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, don't. And they started to restrict us from and confusing the brain to say, oh, I can't think for myself. I have to follow the rules. I have to not think out of the box. Yes, there's an entrainment for all of us to be a part of society, but don't take away the right for the free thinker to think. So both anxiety and depression are becoming a manufactured product. I will say that. And they create confusion within our brains. So if there was a greater world war happening, it's now. And it's not the one that you see with the bombs and the fear of the nuclear weapons and all of that stuff. The bigger war is to enslave our minds. It's happening now, and we are the hope for the future generations. If we focus on the moment and bring ourselves back into balance, becoming calm, visioning a better future, gathering in unity, creating a larger field of positive energy. As you can see now, the negative energy is all over the world. We've covered the world with negative energy. How can you, as an individual, start to create a small field of positive energy? Where there's laughter, there's compassion, there's kindness, there's care, there's communication without judgment. Each one of you are a player in this play. When we create that field of positive energy, it's easier for us to stay focused. Begin in your own body. Find what's your negative thoughts and know that you have the power to change them. Doesn't mean you're not going to hurt, doesn't mean you're not going to cry, does not going to mean you're not going to do all that. You will. But you will do it less and less and less. Because you will start to realize your true power is in your heart, not here in your head. Your head is the receiver. Your head is a transmitter. Just like this screen. It receives the information we put into it, and it gives us back to the information from it. We may put nice information into the machine and get back awful. So what is the difference between this here and that? Not a hell of a lot. And the world knows this. And the people who want to rule the world know this. So if there is ever going to be a rebellion, it isn't going to be a war that's out there with bombs. And they can't kill us all, because then their world collapses, because their world is based on what they can get out of us. Take a deep breath. It's all thoughts. It's my thoughts I offer to you. I firmly trust my heart now. I never used to. The pain and suffering that I've held in my heart for my whole lifetime was horrendous. It's still there. The trauma is still there. I'm still going through trauma. But I can release it. The people who hurt me the most, I can send them love. Probably not personally face to face, but I can feel it in my heart. And if I had the opportunity to meet them now, I would hope that I could look them in the eye and forgive them. Because they were in pain and suffering of their own kind and reacting to that pain and suffering. And I was the trigger for that. So, again, we have this ability to avoid whatever is not in our best interest. The question always is, do we take heed of what our heart tells us and find a way to avoid, or do we continue to create armor to protect ourselves from our own emotional distress? We can come to a point where we don't need the medicines. We don't need anything other than our own self. And live in peace. We are the beginning of that age. You are here to make that happen. So I'm going to read a thing from Psychology Today. It's called Upgrade Your Personality. And then I'm going to finish with this. He says, it's from Dr. Eric Mazel. You may not be the person you would like to be. You may be angrier than you would like to be, more impulsive, more scattered, more self-sabotaging, more undisciplined, more frightened. If so, you require a personality upgrade, which of course only you can supply. You choose a feature of your personality that you would like to upgrade. Then you ask yourself, what thoughts align with this intention? And what actions align with this intention? Then you think the appropriate thoughts and take the necessary action. In this way, you become the person capable of reducing your emotional distress. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? When you read it, you, oh yeah, I understand that. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm going to do that. And we all know who we are. We've lived with ourselves our whole lives. It's a challenge. I offer that challenge to all of you. I offer that challenge to you to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to find a way to move through all of this distress, all of these hardships. And I did want to read one more thing from yesterday's Global Heart Team. Since I used the words hardships, I'm going to lead into it with this. It's called Mastery of Hardships Within the Personal Heart. Many times we are weakened and feel alone. Let me move it over here. Many times we are weakened and feel alone. Our hearts may be filled with sorrow or anger, yet each of us is sustained by a higher love. This energy of love is always there for us, for it is our inner home until we decide to leave. We are called out of this peaceful sanctuary by all of our everyday encounters with others. Then we struggle to deal with an endless list of possibilities that are no longer kind or caring. And this is where we encounter all hardship. Let us learn to pause when feeling distorted. Breathe slowly and deeply as a message of pause. A pause to feel into our heart once again, to remind us that it never changes its purpose. Sinking within it, we receive an abundance of peace that awaits beyond all the suffering, allowing us a place of safety to reclaim our love. From yours truly, Charlie Riverman, to each of your hearts, may you embrace yourself in new light and love. Know that, yes, we are going through, some may call it a living hell, but we are stronger than that. For if there's a hell, there's a God who is far more powerful, and we are that. It is our responsibility to the future generations to correct as much as we can within ourselves and offer what we can to the future. And I know each one of you will do that. I know that many of you are hurting very deeply for a lot of different reasons, and I empathize and I send you peace, light, and love. Know and have the courage that is really within you, not to do anything outside of you first, to work within yourself. Bring yourself to a place where you are receiving more power from within you, more energy and a greater alignment with your higher self that can't ever stop until we leave this body. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. One heart, one love. Let's go out there. Take another look at everything we're doing and say, I have power over this because I am the power. I am the peace. I am the light. And I am the love that is needed right here, right now. Oh, I love you all. And thank you so much. I love to read the comments after, and I wish I could read them and go along with you. But, you know, I have these messages that come through, and I have to deliver them. I don't have to, but I enjoy delivering them. And I'm blessed to be able to receive them in the manner that I do. May you have a wonderful week. And yeah, keep praying for everybody in the Ukraine and in all the countries that are being oppressed by guns and death and violence. We've come too far to keep this going. Bless you all. I know you will. See you next Friday. Enjoy your week and enjoy the full moon. Get out there and, as I always say, water the trees. I love to offer water to the trees in the full moon. It makes me feel so connected to Mother Earth and our other family in the world. Love you all. Bye-bye. Well, it doesn't want me to leave. I pushed it. Here we go.